Local breaking news. This is WYFF News 4 at 6 in high definition.
We are saddened that people went away and their needs were not met.
The president of Bob Jones University talking about the Grace Report. It documents allegations of sexual abuse and establishes new guidelines for the university. Grace, godly response to abuse in the Christian environment, began looking into sexual abuse allegations at Bob Jones University back in 2013.
That 300-page report came out this morning. WYFF News 4's Tim Waller spoke to the school's president late this afternoon, and he joins us now. Tim?
Well, we have spent more than a year investigating these allegations, Michael and Carol, and of course now the Grace investigation has finally concluded. A few minutes ago, as you mentioned, I sat down with Bob Jones University President Steve Pettit, who addressed some of the specific allegations of this report. Among them, the fact that the university failed to report these abuses to local law enforcement.
Some of the stories in there, again, are not very clear to us simply because of the fact that we don't know who they were. We don't even know what year they took place. We do not have all those facts.
In fact, not involving local police is one of the main themes of this 300-page report. In one of our earliest interviews with a former student who claims she was assaulted by a Bob Jones University dorm counselor, Erin Birchwell told us calling the police was never an option for her.
The school told my parents, do not go to the police. This will not look good for you.
The Grace Report backs up her claim, saying some sexual abuse disclosures were not reported to DSS or to law enforcement officials. The report also says Dr. Bob Jones III told Grace investigators it was out of fear a police report might affect the reputation of the university. Today, there was this reaction from Jeffrey Hoffman, who claims he was abused as a child by a Bob Jones faculty member off campus.
I hope that they'll address it because there are a number of people whom I know, and whom myself included, who have not seen prosecutions in their cases.
The Grace Report goes on to quote a current Bob Jones faculty member, who told investigators there is an underlying culture of sexism at the university, and an underlying culture of devaluation of women by viewing them as bodies to be used solely for male purposes. The report cites numerous victims as saying the university blamed them instead of the perpetrators of these crimes. Birchwell says the Grace Report is validation of what victims have been saying for years.
It's really about appearances, and they couldn't have something this big come out. It's just too bad for their appearance.
This very lengthy report concluded with a number of recommendations, including a public apology from the university and holding those people who failed to report it to police accountable. Tim Waller, WYFF News 4, live in Greenville.
All right, Tim, thank you. Now, investigators say the goal of all this is to help BJU establish guidelines for handling sexual abuse claims.
Here's a timeline during the investigation. 2014, early February, the university fired Grace. The school says it was because of developing concerns about the investigation. Later in the month, the firm was rehired.
And back in May, BJU's new president, Steve Pettit, said he would implement whatever changes are necessary. The investigation wrapped up in June, and Grace said it then moved into the final phase of its report, the actual recommendations.
The full 300-page report was released this morning, and BJU's President Steve Pettit spoke about it just hours ago. You'll find the entire report on WYFF4.com. It's in the media window there on the front page. Ron Wilson will be 82 years old when he gets out of prison for the Ponzi scheme that bilked hundreds of people out of millions of dollars. Tonight, more of that exclusive jailhouse interview. WYFF News 4's Mandy Gaither is live and local in our Anderson newsroom. Mandy?
Ron Wilson says he always told himself he'd pay it all back, but admitted in this exclusive interview that he was lying even to himself. Wilson stole around $57 million. So where did that money go? He says it was spent on building his house and his farm. He also went to auctions and bought whatever he wanted. He also talked about spending 20 years of his life in jail and suicide. And he said that suicide was a cowardly act, so he'd never do it. Instead, he said that he wanted to face what he's done. He told us about some of his victims that still haunt him. A woman with rheumatoid arthritis who gave him everything she had. 2 preachers, his own friends and family. He even drove to Florence to pick up $68,000 in cash from a victim the Thursday before his business went under, and he knew the whole time it was all about to unravel.
For the 2 years I spent at Coleman, there hasn't been a time that I went to bed that the faces of those clients wasn't the last thing I saw before I finally went to sleep. You know, I know that in my situation, I've been forgiven by the Lord, but the most difficult thing is for me to forget myself for what I did. And you always do these things to friends because your enemies don't deal with you. So, I mean, it's that kind of thing that eats at you every day.
Now, Wilson does work in prison. He says he makes office cubicles for governmental agencies around the country, and he says his pay has increased to 60 cents an hour. Half of that goes to paying back the victims. We'll have more for you tonight at 11. Mandy Gaither, WYFF News 4 live in the Anderson newsroom.
Mandy, thank you. And now another WYFF News 4 exclusive. A 12-year-old upstate girl who almost lost her life last month to a deadly wreck has come out of her coma. Cheyenne Queen's eyes are open, and she's starting to move one of her hands. Cheyenne's been in the hospital ever since this November 8th wreck that killed 3 people. You may remember this night. The other driver is charged with DUI. WYFF News 4's Liz Loheis tonight talks to Cheyenne's dad.
It was just after midnight, November 8th. Deputies say a drunk driver slammed into this car near Anderson University, killing 3 people and injuring 2. Cheyenne Queen was close to death, but investigators say an on-scene tracheotomy saved her life. She's been in the hospital since. Just a few days ago, she came out of a coma.
I don't think the words in the English language to describe it. It was just absolutely amazing. She has got the most beautiful brown eyes, and to see those things open and to look at you and to follow you across the room is something that honestly on November 8th I never knew if I'd see again.
Cheyenne's dad, Tim Queen, says she is responding to some commands but is not talking yet.
She used her left hand some, both in helping herself push off the bed and using the dexterity in the fingers, and she also held up her head fairly well by herself.
He says doctors aren't sure if she's not talking because of the wiring in her mouth or because she can't.
We have to wait and see what all the functionality is, what the damage is, and where we have to go next.
Queen says the community support for his daughter has been amazing. The Fighting with Cheyenne Facebook page has more than 3,400 likes, and a benefit to support survivors of the crash is being held this weekend.
I knew there were good people in this area. I had no clue that there were this many good people.
Cheyenne has a long road ahead of her, including more surgery and intense physical and occupational therapy. Queen says it will be 6 months to a year before the family knows what sort of functionality Cheyenne will have.
We're just praying and waiting on God to deliver the next miracle when she's going to be up running around and doing everything that Cheyenne likes to do.
Liz Loheis for us tonight. Again, there will be a benefit for Cheyenne and the other survivor of the crash. It'll happen this Saturday. The information is on the screen there. We'll leave it up for a moment and let you know we've also put all this on WYFF4.com.
Scary moments this morning outside of Belton. Repair work stopped after a flash fire at the site of the gasoline leak we've been telling you about. The leak site is near Lewis Drive and West Calhoun Road. Kinder Morgan is the company making the repairs. The company says sparks from welding crews started that fire. Crews say they were able to put out those fires with handheld extinguishers. 4 people were taken to the hospital for evaluation. Repair work is expected to begin again tomorrow.